So we will start the meeting, the November 15th, 2022 meeting of the Southborough Youth Commission, and it is 7:04 p.m.
Do you have somebody that you want to ask to take notes since Sarah's not here, or?
Do we have volunteer?
I can do it, but I'm not guaranteeing anything.
No problem. You take great notes. So
Okay.
first on the director's report, excuse me, first on the agenda is review of the minutes from the October 11th meeting. Did anyone have any edits or corrections to those minutes? If not, may I have entertain a motion to accept the minutes?
Move to accept as written.
I second that.
Who was the second? Sorry.
Oh, me. Susan.
Susan. Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I'll do a roll call vote. David Joyner,
Can I vote since I was not at the meeting?
it's up to you. You don't have to.
I say accept. Yes.
Karen England,
Yes.
Nancy Sutton,
Yes.
Susan Byer,
Yes.
and
Aye.
Margaret Landry,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie, aye. Next on the agenda is the director's report, and we will hear from Sarah Cassell on that.
I just want to mention that Sarah Mikas is reportedly having some Wi-Fi problems. She should be on shortly.
Okay,
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Let's see. All right, director's report. Winter Wishes is in full swing, which Christina has been working diligently on, collecting family applications and working on getting the word out to donor groups about making donations of gift cards. Tonight we'll go through this in more detail, but our prevention programs have been getting some additional attention, which is great. Shannon debuted, it's really a November highlight, but I can't help but tell you she debuted another workshop called Say It With Love. She did do what we endearingly call a pancake. The term comes from when you make pancakes, your first pancake is always kind of like a dress rehearsal. It doesn't always come out perfectly, and then you correct things as you go. So Shannon did a Say It With Love pancake for the staff in October, and we made some fine-tuning tweaks to it, and she was able to debut that workshop in early November. We had a couple of outreach events, Trunk or Treat and Heritage Day. Trunk or Treat, I don't know if anybody in the group would have a reason to go. It's quite the event. There's something like 700 people that attend this event. It's very busy, and we have a great opportunity to connect with a lot of families, and it's a lot of fun. So we did that in October. And then for me personally, I did a ton around IT needs. I have a few things, as I shared with you the last time we met. I have been demoing various software platforms and have been having conversations with the Municipal Technology Committee. So that's really where a lot of my time has been spent in October. Trying to think of what else. We have stats in here for you, update on our operating budget. And a lot of what I just commented on is reflected in the strategic plan progress report. Again, still working on some IT solutions and a few other things. I'm eager to spend more attention on goals 3 and 4. Once we feel we've got goals 1 and 2 fairly worked on and solidified. I think that's really it for, I mean, I guess, let me just go back to the highlights just to see if there's anything happening that I want to share. Oh, well, this kind of already happened also, but we had, for the first time ever, an all department youth and family service get together in Westborough. So there were 7 or 9 of us directors that brought our entire departments along. We all had lunch together and did some networking and sharing and strategizing how we can collaborate more and support each other. So I'm excited to see what happens as a result of that. And I guess just one other thing to highlight, you're going to see the word encompass on the director's report highlights moving forward, because the Northborough Southborough Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition has decided to shorten its name and is going through a rebranding process. And there's a steering committee that was in charge of working on the naming and is working with
Thank
the
you,
graphic.
Sarah. That was the most cumbersome name in the history of the world.
Yes, yes. So Encompass really came out of the fact that this is a community approach. It encompasses 2 towns. There's a number of reasons. I wasn't actually on the steering committee, so, but we were all so eager to have the name changed that we all just said, yes, if you want to call us the Flying Rhinos, we're fine with that, as long as it's not this other name. So, so that's really it for highlights. I don't know if there's specific questions. Hi, Sarah.
Oh, hi. What
Hi.
have we done? Give me a short
Director's
summary.
report.
I can put it in the notes.
I've got it written down. I can email it to you.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm just asking, I'm just finishing my director's report review to see if anybody has questions.
I do have one question on the donation account. Did we decide last time that the telelanguage was from last year?
Yes, so we've
Okay.
earmarked that money all along, because it's not part of our, you're reminding me about this. It is part, I'm sorry, I need to make a note. It is part of our current operating budget, so we no longer need to have that earmarked in the donation account. I think that's where your question's going, right?
That's my question. Mhm.
Yes, okay. So take that out.
Any other questions on the director's report? We can talk about the FY24 budget. Sarah, can you comment on that? I think we
I'm
had,
gonna
there was a
screen
document.
share.
Yeah, good, thank you.
And just find it in this long packet we have. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if there's a way to make this smaller. I guess not. Okay, so this is a draft of what we're looking for. And so our salaries are calculated here. This is based off of our current hourly rate plus 3% increase. This is what we've been told to do as a placeholder. The personnel board will be voting on the percentage increase in the near future, so this number may change. But for now, this is everybody's salaries based on a 3% increase with 2 longevity payments for 2 eligible employees added to that, which is this number here, the 1,000. Down here, we have employee trainings staying the same. So this column here is FY23, which we're currently in. And the second yellow column is what we're requesting for FY24. The biggest change out of all of this, you'll note, is basically this is supposed to be a software line item. It looks like they didn't change it to that. Actually, let me pull up, I included a memo here. So this is a memo that would accompany this draft proposal. So 1668 of that 7,300 is for therapy notes, which we're currently using for all of our mental health records. 2,000 of that would be used for a yearly subscription to my senior center, which includes a one-time setup fee. So actually on an ongoing basis, the fee for using my senior center would be $1,500 annually. But for our first time setting it up, it would be 2,000. This number here is the thing that's still up in the air. And I am needing to return to talk with the Municipal Technology Committee about this. I put it in here as, you know, a possible scenario or what information we have right now. One of the outstanding items that we have for IT needs is a HIPAA compliant messaging platform. It's really important that we get all of our client communications off of town email and have a HIPAA compliant platform to engage with residents about the services that they're receiving from our department. We can always talk to people on the phone, but if we're being realistic, nowadays people appreciate and prefer to have the option to communicate electronically as well. This is everything from even making appointments all the way up through questions or concerns about the treatment that they're getting.
Sarah, did
Yeah.
Municipal Technology recommend Tiger Connect?
They did not. This is something that I brought to their attention to demonstrate the type of service that we're looking for. This is the one I've spent the most time looking into and what I have the most information about. But I told them I'm not married to this particular service. I just need something like it. And so Matt Probst, who's the chair of the MTC, wanted to spend a little bit more time looking at this to see if, excuse me one second. Sorry, my kids are being nice and loud. I lost my train of thought. So
no, Matt says he's investigating it.
He's going to look into some additional options. One of the other things that we are considering is, I don't know if I can highlight I can't highlight these two things at the same time. So we're using therapy notes currently. There's a possibility that we might find a different electronic health record system that also has a HIPAA compliant messaging platform. So if we can combine those two things into one platform, everybody would like that. It's a little bit of a unicorn. There are some electronic health record systems that have a messaging platform, but it's on their app, which means that unless the client or resident is logged into the app, they're not going to see the message.
What are Westboro and Northborough and Hopkinton and Shrewsbury?
They're all in the same boat we are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is one of the biggest gripes that most of us have.
Yeah.
Is that we don't have identified, and there's no standardization from one youth and family to another
Yeah.
in terms of something that's available to all of us. So I was
My other
excited.
question, my
Oh,
other
go ahead.
question would be how difficult would it get to rename, how difficult would it be to rename that that line item and get communication out of there and get software into there?
Yeah, I don't think it's that difficult. In fact, I recall that Carla, the town accountant, was planning to call that software, and it might
Mhm.
even be that in her system. It's just didn't translate over into our. So it's just a matter of communicating that with her.
All
I
right.
don't think it's going to be a big issue.
And when you use the word software, everyone understands it's going to be a lot of dollars. Communication could be, a much softer, cheaper thing. And so people would sort of wonder why the numbers were so high. I think with
Gotcha.
software, everybody gets it.
Right. So this is what the budget request is now for this particular line item. And Lauren, thank you again for highlighting that we have carryover, that we've got 200 available for translation services also. This is what it is currently, but I anticipate that this might change based off of how our conversations go with Municipal Technology Committee and what we continue to investigate. I have made it pretty clear to them, though, that I can't just keep searching and searching and searching and searching. I've been doing that for many, many years now, and I will forever be looking for a unicorn. Have to just move forward with some of this stuff because our productivity, our efficiency, our organization is suffering as a result. And it doesn't mean, even if we move forward with some of these things, it doesn't mean that we can't that we stop looking. We might continue to search for these things or a better solution. But for now, these are the things that I really know that we need. So there's a possibility that $3,440 is really the thing that I think is most likely to change. But that's what it is as of now. And with budget requests being due at the end of November, it's probably going to be this number for now. I have been asked to go back to the Municipal Technology Committee for another follow-up meeting. I'm just not sure when that is yet. For printing, we have requested more. This is mostly because that we're doing so much outreach. I could hear someone saying, well, you just keep bumping this up by 500 each year. When is enough printing going to work? Because you could do more and more and more outreach. And I agree that we need to cap it at some point. We have identified a number of outreach opportunities that we're doing on a regular basis. And this is getting closer to sustainable for us in terms of what we really need to be doing for outreach on a regular basis. So
where is the printing going? I mean, where are the printed ads and so on that you do? Where are they actually being placed?
Well, when we do outreach, we give out a lot of the materials. So at all of the open houses, for example, at one school alone, we've given out 350 copies of flyers. At Heritage Day, at Trunk or Treat, all of those things we routinely give out, even if it's just our postcard. We routinely are giving things out to people. Our goal is to.
Was great, by the way, I thought.
Oh, good. Yeah, so we try at least once a month. It's definitely harder in the winter months, but at least once a month we try to identify one opportunity to do outreach, and with that comes giving out information. We are, for example, in December, we're planning to attend Santa Day. The Kinder Group has invited us to do outreach at that event. So we'll be giving out information to, not a ton, because that's a festive environment. Really, it's about being present and being visible. But we're going to have some QR codes for people to use, and probably have our postcards available there too. Contracted services. This is the line item that covers the clinical consultant and supervisor that we use. I think I shared with you last week that her hourly rate is going up. So that's what accounts for the 20% increase. That is all that line item covers. Office supplies is staying the same. Program supplies, again, just like printing, is going up. Lauren can attest to the fact that I have texted her occasionally to ask if we can purchase something to give out, or some activity so every time we do trunk or treat, for example, we're very thrifty in what we purchase. But if we're going to participate and be able to reach the community on that level, we have to buy things to give out to the kids. So, so this year we purchased rolls of stickers and slap bracelets, and we put a couple of stickers and a slap bracelet along with our postcard in pre-stuffed goodie bags, and gave one of those out to every kid that came through, and it's a huge event. So that's just one example. And again, it really has to do with us doing as much outreach as we can.
Sarah, do they ever give you, do any of the boards that look at this budget like advice, do they give you pushback on any of these items? It seems like everything you're doing is so essential. I mean, you could do twice as much on any one of these categories, like the
You're right.
outreach.
You're right. And I think this is, I guess the conundrum is, I have been told, and I agree with this statement, that I could be given $1 million and it still wouldn't be enough. So it's really hard to know where to draw the line in terms of how high to go with some of these things. I think what we can draw from is our bandwidth, our personal bandwidth, to be, how much we're able to do, what we have the capacity to do. So that's why I'm being very incremental in how much I go up on some of these things. But really, this is in line with our strategic plan. We have a goal specifically around doing increased outreach, getting out of our office more and connecting with the community more.
I don't think you need to apologize for any of these numbers. And when you have those meetings, I'll be glad to go and say these should all be double.
Thank you.
And I also think, I mean, Heritage Day was great, but I mean, pens, I think we could have given out a little bit better prizes for the kids at Heritage Day.
That's the thing, is that we don't have money for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those pens, it felt kind of silly, because we're like, you have to spin the wheel in order to
Right,
get
yeah.
a pen.
I know, but then they're like, oh, I have a pen, or, like,
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah.
and I just felt bad because like you're standing next to my Girl Scout booth, it's like candy, and like I feel like we could have done a little bit more,
Yeah,
kid centric
sure.
prizes if we had more money. I know.
Sure. I do have an idea that I want to share with you that's further on in the agenda that might address some of that. And then finally, I just want to highlight, there might be a reaction to this, but in-state travel, we've been through this pandemic. The numbers were greatly impacted at the beginning of the pandemic. Obviously, we weren't traveling anywhere. And things have really shifted over time. I think we've got enough time under our belt to better predict what we're going to actually spend on in-state travel. One of the other things that's changed throughout this pandemic is my caseload. There was a time that I was putting 25 miles on my vehicle just within Southborough every day, and I'm not doing that anymore. I have a much smaller caseload, which was a strategic plan on our part, so that I could focus more on the administrative and supervisory role that I play in the department. But as a result, I'm really one of two people. I mean, Christina, our admin assistant, and our program coordinator get mileage once in a while, but really predominantly the funds for mileage were going to Megan and I, because we were spending so much time going to the schools to see kids for counseling. Right now, Megan continues to go into the schools, but the other folks who are spending most of their time in the schools are our interns, and they don't get mileage reimbursement. So I did want to propose a decrease in in-state travel, and instead of instead of just giving that back to the town, we are asking for more in some of the other line items. So it's kind of a give and take. So this is a little bit hard to predict also, because come FY24, we hope to have an ARPA clinician on board. And given that this person would be considered an employee versus a contractor, I believe we are going to be obligated to pay mileage for them also. So that's something I still need to investigate further. But
Is the ARPA clinician a 1-year paid salaried person?
we have enough money to pay this person part-time over the course of 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Sarah, give me a better idea of what the budgetary environment is this year in the town of Southborough. Are they looking to decrease budgets?
We have not been told anything yet. We have
Okay.
just been told to work on our request.
All
But
right.
I think that the town's finance team, hold on, we got an incoming cat here. The town's finance team is going to be getting some directives from the select board and the advisory committee soon. And so I know that we have a department head meeting coming up maybe next week.
Mhm.
Oh, I gotta stop sharing because I navigated away from my screen. I anticipate that they might be giving us some activities to try with our budget.
Yeah,
But I
'cause I
don't
know-
know.
No, last year they asked you to give a couple different stages, and I don't know
Yeah.
if they're, that maybe because kind of post shutdown and all that maybe, yeah, and there might be some more ARPA money or whatever, that there might be some more flexibility in the budgets and we won't have to be so tight. And that might give us a better idea of what we want to ask for and how much. So
Yeah.
I think that these are all good numbers, but I think that if it isn't a restrictive budgetary cycle, it might be nice to ask for, increase some areas in order to provide you, like, you shouldn't be struggling to find a HIPAA compliant software system. There should be something out there, and it might be expensive. HIPAA is expensive to comply with. So, you're putting a lot of, there might not be anything out there, it'd be a great opportunity for somebody in software development to jump in. But I do think that these databases, providing efficiency to an organization is costly in the beginning, and you're still stuck in the file cabinet mode. So this is a big leap into the tech era, and it might cost some money to get there. So I don't think that we should shortchange the organization in this area. It might not be an ongoing expense, but you need to accelerate your technological advancement. So,
I
agree.
agree, and I don't think we should, I don't think we should be acting like the poor relation with hat in hand. I think the need in town is huge and you're filling it, and I don't think we should, be apologizing for what something costs if we need it.
I fully agree with that sentiment as well. And this organization has proven its value and worth to the town, and there's great support for it. So I don't think there would be much pushback when it comes to financially supporting the objectives of this organization. Just as a general comment to pile on to that general sentiment.
Right, and the advisory and the Board of Selectmen will always try to cut what we ask for, but that doesn't mean town meeting is gonna cut it. That doesn't mean the voters will cut it. So I think we should have the courage of our cash request here. Many's
Well,
the
thank
time
you.
that
Oh.
advisory has been thrifty, and then the department can make a case that it really is important to get the money that we need to be doing what we need to be doing.
And be doing it correctly. You know, we shouldn't be emailing back and forth with people. We do have, by the way, I would like this to be on record, that we have a waiver form that we had legal counsel review, outlining the risks associated with using email, as well as text messages, so that residents are fully informed about our types of communication, and will sign off saying they understand and let us know which forms of communication they would like to use. That's better than nothing, but I still feel strongly
very
that
good,
we
is it?
shouldn't,
Yeah.
that town email is considered public record, and our communications with residents that we're working with shouldn't be also considered public record.
I agree, and if it costs another $4,000 or $5,000 to get the right software, I think that's important to fight for.
Mhm.
well, I
Maybe I'm
think
not.
it leaves the organization vulnerable, without it, and not capable, doesn't have the resources to effectively and efficiently do your job, and it leaves the town vulnerable too. If somebody's private information is somehow shared with the public, it would leave a lot of people in vicarious positions. So I think it's a worthwhile investment to do it right, not do it half-baked. Do it right the first time, instead of hobbling a bunch of stuff together that you think that because we have lack of financial resources. I really feel very strongly about this, because if you do it right in the beginning, it provides a solid foundation to kind of grow your organization and your data and your communications. If you do it wrong, it all kind of starts falling apart. So,
And advisory's job is to cut budgets, but our job is to make a case for what we need, so that they understand that it is actually a false economy to cut our software. That's what I think.
penny wise, pound foolish in my book, in this
There you go.
department.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is the budget request. So after tonight, if you all voted to support this budget request moving forward, this is what I would submit on November 28th. All of you probably know that this is not what the final outcome would be. There's a lot of conversations and changes that happen over time. But I guess for tonight, I'm looking for the board's approval or support on submitting this request to the town's finance committee for.
You want us to
the
vote on
November-
that, Sarah?
I think
You want us to
so.
vote in support of this?
Yeah, I
All
think
right,
so.
I move that we support the budget as written.
I second it.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Sarah Micus,
A,
Karen England,
Hi.
Nancy Sutton,
Aye.
Susan Byer,
Aye.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
David Joyner,
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie, aye. Motion carries.
Great.
All right. Did you have anything additional to say about the Municipal Technology Committee meeting, or is that in the future? Or was that in,
I guess that was related to that. So I just wanted to tell you that I attended their meeting. I want to say it was the 7th. I'm doing that from memory. So that would have been last Monday, to review my senior center with them. And a few of their members met with the developer of my senior center to better understand the product. They asked their questions. They had an opportunity to attend a different demo with me to see how it compared to my senior center and why it was that we were attracted to that. And at that meeting on the 7th, they voted to show support for us acquiring my senior center, which was great. We were not in a position at that time to discuss Tiger Connect further, but I need to reach out to them to find out when they would like me to come back to talk about that need further. So really, it just relates to the budget request because I'd like to move forward with putting that in our FY24 request.
all right.
Oh, sorry. One other thing to mention about my senior center. I'm meeting with the town's legal counsel tomorrow to review the contract required, because this is the funny thing that happens sometimes is that we get the blessing of the IT department or municipal technology committee, but then when it comes to legal counsel reviewing the contracts, there's the requirements don't line up. So they may line up on one end, but not on another. So that's my next step, is to have legal counsel review those documents. Sometimes if there's issues, the town decides to still move forward with it regardless, because if you ask some of these big companies to modify their terms of service or contract for you, it's not likely to happen, but they like to know what kind of risks are associated with taking on that service. So we'll see what happens tomorrow on that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Next, we'll talk about the personnel board salary study. Do you think you would like to pull up that little paragraph on youth and family?
Sure. I just am gonna need a minute to do that.
Okay.
Do you want to, Lauren was able to attend the meeting. I was not. I don't know if you have anything you want to say while I'm looking for it.
The meeting pretty much stuck to what is presented in the report that was part of our packet. I'd like to just wait a second and have that come up, but so
I'll give, if it's okay, I'll give some,
background, a little bit
some
of back-
context.
right.
Yeah. So, wow, it opened right to that paragraph. That's funny. Let me screen share. So the town every 4 years or so engages in a salary study where they hire a consultant to take a look at they could look at a variety of different things. This time around, they hired consultants to take a look at, they weren't reclassifying anybody, but they were looking for a review of job descriptions to ensure that people are being compensated accurately. And not sure. This is not my arena. So hopefully I'm characterizing that correctly. But ultimately, the salary study was interesting. And I'm just sharing this one section of, can everybody see that where it's talking about the youth commission here?
Not yet. There we go.
Okay.
It's there.
So there were a lot of different recommendations further, further up about people moving from one place to another, about recommending that the town move to a grades and steps, I think. But
That's right.
this was the piece that stood out for me, which was to say, well, I'll let you guys, or I'll read it. The project team received a number of recommended edits for positions within the Youth Commission. While some were housekeeping, many were substantial. The information provided appears to be an effort to change the organizational structure of the department and not a straightforward position description review. As such, the center is not able to perform a comprehensive review of the positions as part of this current project. The center recommends the town review the functions and responsibilities of the department and review the positions in a comprehensive manner. So essentially, this salary study was conducted, and at the end of the day, our department was not able to be included in the salary study because what we were asked to do was take a look at our job descriptions and provide feedback on the accuracy of said job descriptions. And it sounds like for them, as the consultants, the feedback we gave highlighted that our job descriptions are, I have to talk with the personnel board, but my guess is that our job descriptions are not up to date and are outdated. The other piece of this, I think, is that our job descriptions may not accurately capture the work that we do. And part of that is because there's been, in my experience since being in the department, a practice that was taken on to say that these are our X number of job descriptions. You need to pick one that fits as closely as possible. So not calling Shannon the prevention services coordinator, but choosing program coordinator because that was the closest thing to her. Megan, for example, she still plays the role of assistant director, but in many ways is a clinical director or a clinical coordinator. Those positions or job descriptions don't exist within the salary administration plan. And thus they have one job description that's sort of a general job description that fits anybody in any department that has that title, which makes it really hard to differentiate ourselves. So I think I just wanted to highlight this with you all because I think that we are going to be entering into several conversations with the personnel board about this, and I don't know which direction that's going to go in. I just wanted the board to be aware of it. My hope is that they're not going to, in response, restrict us from doing the pieces of work that we've been doing because they feel it's outside our current job descriptions, and rather our job descriptions would then rise to meet us where we're at versus us having to regress back down to our job descriptions. Does that make sense? Hopefully. But I really don't know what this means exactly.
And with this,
Sarah, would it be helpful for a board member to attend those conversations? Because I think this is important. I hate to have the personnel there caught in, kind of boxes that aren't necessarily, they might be appropriate for other town offices, but we have to say that Youth and Family Services is different than your typical town office. And it is more clinical and, has to be HIPAA compliant and all this stuff. I fear that, getting stuck into a job category is not going to be helpful in helping the organization meet its strategic goals. So
that is partly why I bring it up in this context. I don't have more information about what the next steps are, but I did want to put it on the board's radar sooner than later so that I could call upon board members to join me for some of these meetings if need be. I did get an invitation to attend a personnel board meeting on Thursday, but not a lot of context. It was just a copy of my job description and an invitation to provide feedback on my job description. And I just got that yesterday, and that's for Thursday morning. So I'm hoping, I'm feel fully prepared to say that I'm not ready to have further conversation without board member presence, if I felt like that was needed.
Okay.
But I'd like to talk to the personnel board about making a game plan for what this means for our department, not just job description wise, but compensation wise. If the rest of the town is able to be compensated, or that there's a recommendation that people be compensated more, but our department was not included in this salary study. What does that mean for us? So I'd like to at least find out more about what they're thinking in terms of how they want to address this over time.
Well, let us know how we can be supportive and helpful, okay? Maybe after your initial meeting this coming Thursday, you'll have a better idea of where this is going and how we can be helpful, because I think this is really important way that the board can support you and the organization and make sure that you are appropriately compensated.
Thank you.
I think too that if I recall that the strategic plan recommended some restructuring as well of the job duties and descriptions, it would lead to maybe some change in job descriptions as well. We're having a little bit of problem with Marguerite's ability to hear or talk. So she can hear us, but she can't talk or see us. So she might be logging. Sarah, if you can just keep a lookout, because she might be logging out and back in.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments on that? All right, we will go next to strengthening of the Youth Commission as part of the strategic plan. And the first on the agenda is for a kind of, we've had previous discussions on this, but more of a solidification of a more formal checklist for onboarding new members and what that would look like. If we can, we've had some great ideas before, but if we can go through and kind of put those down on paper now, and I think one of some of the points that we've had to date were presenting, so onboarding. So this is someone who is either interested in coming on board or joining the Youth and Family Southborough Youth Commission, or oh great, terrific. So one was to provide them with a strategic plan. Maybe we can just get the brainstorming ideas and then figure out if there's this particular order later. But providing that person with a strategic plan, providing the person with an opportunity to speak with Sarah as director. And I'd love to hear from the newest members. I think we also provided some links to the website for Southborough Youth and Family Services, the Facebook and Facebook
Think about
page.
maybe meeting basics, you know, what a town meeting is like when you're attending, things you need to know ahead of time.
Okay,
Yeah, we talked about that as maybe the whole town, like any, someone putting this together for, making a motion, starting the meet, we talked about that would be great for any town meeting, but I don't know.
That's right in the bunch.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
that all that information is the first 6 or 7 pages of the town meeting warrant.
Okay,
If you look at an old warrant, it will give you exact instructions for everything that's done in a town meeting.
okay.
So that would be a great resource to send along.
Yeah, you just look at it, you read it, and you just read those 6 or 7 pages and it tells you how the town meeting is run.
okay.
Is that the same for board and commission meetings, or is it just?
No,
specifically about
that
town
the board
meeting?
and commission meetings are, it depends on the director. The director may be very strictly Robert's Rules of Order or not. And the way I learned it, because I've been doing it for a while, is that I started on the library board and you just sort of watch how they do it, and after a while you figure out. But every board and committee is different in its strictness. Like Youth and Families is fairly relaxed. Board of Selectmen is very tight in the way it's run. So there's differences between boards and committees, and you sort of get used to the climate or the style of each board and committee.
I
But
have
a
to
lot of
tell
it
you,
is, it is a learning curve, but they're all
Yeah.
different.
I hope she wouldn't mind me sharing this, but Sue Butka and I a while back had been asking select woman Chelsea Malinowski, how did you learn all of this? How does a person learn all of this? And she sheepishly shared that she and her husband, for fun, would just sit and watch multiple board and committee meetings, just watch all sorts of board and committee meetings, and that's how they learned some of, how these meetings are conducted, how you vote on things, when to vote on things, language to use, etc. As I said, there's nothing in writing anywhere about, this is how you vote, or this is when you vote.
Well, there kind of is actually. If you look at town meeting, that's the rules for running town meeting, and basically those are supposed to be enforced for most of the boards and committees.
Okay.
They get shorthanded a lot, but the first 6 pages of the town meeting warrant are basically an instruction book for how to function in town government.
Okay.
And those are well
It's the first
studied.
I've ever, Marguerite, I've been working here for 15 years. I've never had anybody tell me that.
Yep, there it
I
is.
guess I
It's
should
all
have
written
combed
down, and
through.
every year it's right there. And somebody always stands up in the meeting and says, "Well, how do I do this?" And you say,
Mhm.
"Just read the manual."
Yeah. Well, to that point, I know that I don't follow what the town does, and if you make a motion and there's a second motion, you are supposed to stop for discussion at that point. Usually we just roll right into the vote, but I can always stop for discussion again.
No, actually, technically, once the motion's been made to vote, the discussion has to stop. You
We've been told-
you
we have
introduce the
been told
topic, you
otherwise.
have the discussion, and once somebody says, "I move the question," and you get a second, then the discussion is over.
Hmm.
I know,
I
don't
think
get
there
me
might be a
started.
few ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
But again,
conversation,
it's flexibility between boards. Some boards are not that rigid as town meeting, and this one isn't, and neither's the library, so there it is.
We do have a copy of the role descriptions for our members in the committee. I think we call it role descriptions. You're right. And you addressed watching other town meetings, but just being able to go to our Southborough Youth and Family Service recorded meetings would probably be helpful, of having someone know whether this is something that truly interests them or not.
Watch the Board of Selectmen, because I think they are the closest to following Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
That's what I'd suggest.
In no particular order, but I think it's just helpful for me to keep in mind that they need to be sworn in. So as far as a checklist of activities that has to happen before they can attend a meeting or and vote as a voting member. And then there's the it's not called ethics. What is it called?
Yeah, it's ethics training.
Oh, open meeting law?
There's an open meeting
There's
law.
ethics and
Open meeting law. Yeah, there's two
Yeah, I
things
think
you
it's
have to
both.
take. Yeah.
That's all that I could come up with myself, but what else would be helpful? I think I was talking with maybe Karen or a few weeks back or months back, and as far as how the meetings are run, it might be helpful to touch base with the chair just about what is expected, what is the climate like on our committee, and if you don't get it from watching the board meeting itself, you can just get a sense that it's great to jump in and say whatever you want at any point.
it might be helpful for a prospective new member to attend a virtual meeting as an outsider or not a panel member, but just observe a meeting and get an idea of, what kind of content and information is reviewed and whether it's within their comfort level or whatever. I think it gives you a good idea of what the dynamics of the board is and the nature of the business that we deal with. So
Great.
Would it also be helpful to give them easy access to agendas and meeting minutes from previous meetings so they can see what's been discussed and what kinds of topics have been reviewed and that kind of thing?
I think that's available on the town's
Yeah.
website.
So maybe like when you give access to all the, Lauren, you told us like, here's the website, here's the Facebook page, maybe just give I mean, most people know it, but you go to Town of Southborough boards and committees, that menu item, Southborough Youth Commission, and then you can get the meetings and agendas. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And maybe this is not a requirement, but just a strong suggestion. I think if we can encourage somebody who's a new board member to attend a workshop or something like that, I think that helps people understand what the department is doing. I'm just looking here to see, I guess, reviewing the website and the social media accounts or meeting with the director, but to see it in action, I think feels a little different. So I don't think you can require that because it's another time commitment, but
I think those are just resources that would be available.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think there's other littler steps in this, like I think I try to remember to say it, but maybe something could be written down about the process that after someone reads this information, that it's the select board that may interview them and ultimately makes the decision whether to appoint them to the board or not, or the commission. Any other thoughts? So why don't we present, so we have this as a checklist, maybe we can just fancy it up a little bit and provide it to the next, is it worth bringing back to the meeting to look over, or should this be it?
Why don't
I
we
think we
review
just-
it? one
Yeah,
more
I think we would
time?
just put it, reorder it, because like the select board meeting, I mean, it doesn't have to be in that order, but the select board meeting and the open law meeting stuff at the top, and then the more nitty gritty of what the youth commission does more at the bottom. I don't know.
Okay. Sarah, Micus, were you saying something?
I was just gonna say that maybe we type this up and review the draft at our next meeting just to approve it. I don't know if we need to vote on it, approve it, or whatever. But in the meantime, people might have some other
Mhm.
ideas to add to it now that we have the conversation going.
Yeah, I like the idea of giving it just a little more time, and we can always add to it later too.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
If we think on it a little more and then maybe solidify it next meeting.
Okay, great.
So I've typed it up. Lauren, do you want me to send that to you, or should I send it to somebody else? Are you thinking of somebody taking a stab at reordering it into sort of how it might unfold? Or do you want to do
I
that?
can take a
as
stab
group?
at that, and
Okay.
we can readdress it next week.
right.
Month.
I will send that to you then.
All right. Any other comments? Oh, we were gonna do outreach training, prevention programs. Sarah would be continuing to build our knowledge about what the Southborough Youth and Family Services does, and today's prevention programs.
Sure. So I'm just going to preface this by saying I just realized that I left my computer charger at work and I'm on 21% battery. So I might have to switch over to my phone shortly. I apologize. So last week we talked about mental health services, and just to recap that, really the simplest thing to say is anywhere from a one-time consultation to more in-depth services regarding mental health. So people can call just with preliminary questions, or maybe they've done a lot of investigating and they know exactly what they need, but they need it sooner than later, and they can call us for that too. So prevention programs is something, since we brought Christina, our administrative assistant, on board in the department, we have been able to shift Shannon over to focusing on prevention programs only, which is hugely important, and a longtime goal of mine. We have predominantly been focused on providing services, direct services for people who are already struggling. So our ability to now focus on prevention is really important, because it's thinking upstream. It's how to maintain healthy habits in the community, how to maintain wellness, and celebrate wellness. That's the name of one of our events that we do in May for Mental Health Awareness Month. And so Shannon, our program coordinator, focuses solely on prevention programs now, which is really about, as I said, promoting wellness, but it's also about equipping residents themselves with skills that they need to help each other. There's just not enough. We can't afford, I'm sure I've stood on my soapbox with you guys before, but we can't afford to wait until people are struggling to get them help. We need to be much more proactive. And so a big goal of Shannon's and mine is to try to support people in providing education and training opportunities so that people don't get to the point of needing our mental health services. And really trying to normalize mental health as part of being human. So I'll say that's what you can say about prevention programs in a nutshell, is really just about thinking upstream and not waiting. This is so critical, not waiting until you're in crisis or someone you know is in crisis, but proactively. It's really hard to do when we've got 100 priorities on our plate. It's really hard to take time out to work on something that maybe isn't a problem yet, but we don't want to wait until it is, because sometimes it's hard to get the support you need when you get to that point. So things that we're working on currently, this is sort of an area where we expect the programs that we're working on to change over time. We won't forever be doing the same things. But right now we are focused on suicide prevention. So Shannon regularly offers suicide prevention trainings in the community. And those trainings are intended for anyone and everyone, much like CPR. We're also very actively involved in substance use diversion and prevention. And we're very active members of our own local coalition between Northborough and Southborough, as well as some regional coalition work with other Metro West communities. And then another piece of work that's really important to us is supporting youth in providing a space and a platform for them to find their gifts and use those. And so that is, the technical term is positive youth development. It's really about, I love the saying, youth are not vessels to be filled, but fires to be lit. And so we have this sort of approach with young people that as adults, we know better and we're here to educate you and inform you and look after you. And rarely do youth as a group have an opportunity to take the lead, so to speak. Often in a dynamic with adults, there's kind of this hierarchy that exists. So we're trying as much as possible to provide youth with opportunities to develop and nurture their gifts and their skills and use them for good. So positive youth development, suicide prevention, and substance use diversion and prevention are the things that we're focused on right now. And again, this is one of those areas where we could have $1 million and have 17 staff. There's just no limit to what we can do with prevention. And so we have to really focus ourselves so that we can do a few things well, versus doing 100 things really watered down. So that's really kind of our prevention services in a nutshell.
Sarah, have you guys been given approval to go into the schools to do any of these? I can't remember if Shannon said that.
We've been approached by several schools to offer QPR anyway to the staff. And then recently we were approached by the high school to offer QPR for students, which we're excited about. Before we can do QPR for students, though, we have to get the staff trained. It's about,
Makes sense.
QPR is a really potentially triggering experience, especially for young people who might be experiencing suicidal ideation. So we have to be very vigilant about making sure there's a really strong safety net in place before we start training youth. So there is, QPR actually outlines exactly how to do this. And so we're meeting with the staff and a student body over at Algonquin to hopefully make this happen over the next, it's probably not going to be months. It'll probably take a year to do it. But yes, the wheels are in motion. Oh, Marguerite, I see you're talking, but you're muted.
Very sorry. Have you noticed, Sarah, a shift in what you're experiencing from residents because the pandemic is more over than it was, say, 6 months ago?
In terms of their mental health and the acuity of mental health.
Yeah, worse, better, any difference?
Interestingly, I think after the pandemic, it started to get worse, which doesn't surprise me because our defenses were high. We were in survival mode during the height of the pandemic. And then once we could start to let that down, people started to feel and realize what they were feeling and had a hard time tolerating that and reintegrating into normalcy after that was really challenging. I wouldn't say that it's continued to get worse. It hasn't gone up more, but it hasn't really subsided. So
That might be worth mentioning as a preface to discussing what you're asking for with the budget,
mhm,
which is that the pandemic's over, but the problems that people are experiencing are not.
right, right.
Just a thought.
Just an FYI, I'm gonna make Lauren the host here because I need to prepare to switch over to my phone. So
Okay.
Lauren, I'm making you host.
All righty. The next, can you do two things at once, Sarah?
Yes, I can.
Next on the agenda is discussion about increasing attendance at workshops, and just leads right out of what we were talking about.
Right. So Karen, actually, I hope you don't mind, Karen, that I'm mentioning that you had reached out to us. So Karen has attended our 3 workshops that we have, and I think has had a good experience. Sorry, I actually am having trouble doing 2
Yeah,
things at once.
that's fine.
The
No
meeting
problem.
is being recorded. Oh, okay, I got it. Yes, stay co-host. Okay, now, hold on, let me mute myself. Am I on here twice? Oh, Lauren, you
Yes.
have to, okay.
That's good. Can we hear you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. We have had struggles. We are very proud of the workshops that we're offering. Shannon's worked tremendously hard on putting them on. We have lots of great content to do more workshops beyond this, considering our bandwidth and our availability to do so. But we struggle with attendance at workshops. And when we first started doing these, I think we sort of had this realization that maybe we were offering them too often, and that we needed to sort of manufacture scarcity in some way, because people might say, it's coming back around in 2 weeks or something like that. So this year we're offering workshops less frequently, still with at least 1 or 2 a month. We've got 3 that are in the rotation right now. And we're trying to figure out ways to encourage people to come. And the thought has occurred to me, this is the same thought that's occurred to me with regard to therapeutic groups, is that we're a small community of 10,000 residents. And so that, for one, is going to mean that we are going to be limited on how many people actually attend the trainings, for one. The other piece too is, without people being super familiar with us, there may be some hesitancy to participate, not knowing exactly, are they going to be called upon to share private information? Is there sharing involved with this? Is me being seen in the room going to send a message to other people in the room that I'm struggling with something? And so I think those are additional considerations that prevent people from possibly coming. And then we also just run into general challenges with scheduling. There's just not a great time to offer workshops because there's always going to be conflicts. And Shannon has been very willing to come in on Saturdays to offer workshops. She does them in the evenings. She, moving forward, is going to play around with which day of the week she offers a training in the evening just to see what that does. But we wanted to bring it to the board to see if there were additional ideas on ways that we could encourage people to attend. And one of the thoughts, I kind of gave you a preview of this earlier. Somebody said to me, I get this question asked all the time, can Northborough residents attend your workshops, or can I bring my sister who lives in Framingham to the workshop? And it's always an awkward thing to answer because we're a Southborough town department and we're supposed to serve Southborough residents only. However, we know that there's probably people in neighboring communities who would love to come, and the more bodies in the room, the more Southborough residents and those people are going to get out of attending the training. So one thought that I had that somebody said to me in one of the meetings is said, why don't you charge a fee for non-residents to come to your workshops? And I don't know why that thought never occurred to me. In fact, if you look at what some of the other town departments are doing, they do charge. Maybe it's not free to Southborough residents, but there's a discounted rate for Southborough residents. So I was wondering what the board thought about offering our workshops free to Southborough residents, but charging a fee, which is not something we've ever done, but charging a fee to non-residents to be able to attend, which might actually, I forget why we were talking about this. It had something to do with the donation account. But it might feed our donation account, which would enable us to continue doing some of the things that we were talking about earlier. Which
I
I'm not
don't support
remembering.
it.
Okay. Can you say why?
Oh, yeah. Because it seems to me we're offering a service that that should be available for anyone in need. And we shouldn't say just because you don't live in Southborough, you can't get it. And all the time at the library, we're getting flack. Oh, can people from Marlborough use our library? And the answer is yeah, because we can use theirs, right? We're in a consortium. There's 100 libraries in that consortium. Everybody can use everybody else's library. That's why it's a public service. So I feel like if someone's in need because they've got depression in the family or they've got a kid on drugs, they should be able to go to a meeting in our town and find out what they could do about it. That's just my feeling. And I also think with the workshops, if it's a question of privacy, why not run them like a TED Talk and put them up on YouTube?
Well, because a lot of it has to do with participation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what people get out of it is it's participatory, especially the QPR training. It's of critical importance that we can evaluate people's understanding of what they're learning in the workshop and provide them the opportunity to ask questions as well as practice the skills in the workshop.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
agree. I've
perfectly
done.
willing to be wrong on both counts. I mean, maybe everybody else thinks it'd be fine to charge somebody like $5 to come to a workshop, but it just seems to me that it's trying to help everybody, and I think just because a person lives in Hopkinton doesn't mean that they should have to pay to come to our workshops.
Well, I guess what I just want to clarify is that as of right now, we do not cast a wide net when we advertise. So we're not advertising to other towns, and our message has generally been, sure, a Northborough person can come, but it's always this awkward challenge of knowing how to answer that question, because we're paid for by town residents. Southborough taxpayers are paying for our personnel in our department. And so we really don't cast a wide net when we advertise, which really inhibits our ability to fill the room or even partially fill the room. And so, so while I
It
agree with
seems
you,
like it would be, what if all the towns around us knew that we had workshops that anybody could go to, and we got a reputation for being, you know, for having these great workshops that were
Mhm.
filled with people from all towns who came. I don't know, you might get flack from taxpayers, I don't know. It just seems
Right.
like, it shouldn't stop at the border, that's all.
Have you
Mhm.
heard of the Spark Kindness program out of Natick?
Yeah.
I go to a lot of their workshops and presentations, and every once in a while they'll charge everybody a nominal fee because they're bringing in an outside presenter or something. But
Mhm.
that auditorium's filled with people from
Mhm.
all of Metro West, and
Mhm.
I think they do it as a human service kind of, you know, activity for the
Mhm.
greater community. So yeah, I'm kind of with Marguerite about not charging. I think if you cast the wider net and people come, you know,
Well, I
that
guess, who do we need? Because I don't feel as though I have the authority to say, and I don't know if you guys as the Youth Commission board have the authority to say that we can just go ahead and invite anybody and everybody
yeah,
to
I
these
don't know
workshops.
either.
You know, that's my challenge, is that I've been very reserved in doing so because I don't feel as though we're supposed to, but maybe we can. And I
Well,
guess this is
I think with individual therapy, yes, town
right.
residents, but I think in terms of building a reputation as a community that widely shares an excellent program of workshops,
Mhm,
that would be a plus, I think, that the
Mm.
town could be proud of. I
mhm,
mean, a workshop is not where you're taking time away from town residents to deal with
mhm,
people from other towns. You're sharing that time with people in the town
mhm.
and outside of the town.
Well, unless our workshops became so popular that there wasn't room for
For the
Southborough
Southborough
residents,
residents, yeah.
Well,
you
then we
know?
could revisit it, but I think it'd be nice to be known all around, you know, Middlesex and Worcester County as a town that has great workshops that everybody wants to go see.
Mhm.
That's just my thought. I'll be quiet now.
No, I agree. I just think I went on to my sister, I have a twin sister in Natick, and she told me about Spark Kindness after I met with you, Sarah, and she was just like, but I went on and it's the website and it's so much more robust. And
Well,
how
they
did we-
have an immense amount of funding too.
Right.
They're I think a nonprofit organization, and this is all they do. So it's a little bit of apples and oranges, but yes, yeah, they can afford to do that because they have the funds already they don't need to charge
Right, so
people to
I don't know
come.
how we'd have to figure out a way to be able to get this wider audience and get it out, because even town residents are like, how do I've talked to people and they're like, they're not going on Facebook to figure it out. Some people are just learning from my Southborough, but then even the friends were asking, they didn't even know about some of these workshops. And I'm like, they're like, how do we figure out what the schedule is or whatever? So I'm on the Facebook pages and I just assumed that like all the friends of Southborough Youth Commission would know about them, and they don't. And then, so we definitely need a plan to publicize things more. And besides just,
It's
social
hard.
Oh, I
It's
know,
hard
it's
to
really
hear,
hard.
it's hard to hear you say that only because we couldn't publicize things anymore. I think it's just that we're inundated with information. I mean, we share this through every single school. We share it through my Southborough. We
I
share it through
know.
all of the other. So it's almost, I think, Karen, what we were talking to you about is that word of mouth is just tremendously helpful, because it's kind of like, it's almost like holding somebody by the shoulders and saying, listen, there's this
You'll
great
like-
workshop
I
that you
know.
should go to.
Right, and like I grabbed a couple of my friends and they all enjoyed it. So I grabbed 3
Mhm.
friends. It's kind of like we kind of have to, as the board or the friends, make that dedication to really invest in getting our friends in our community and our networks to go too, because like I went to all of them and I told people about them, and then slowly, and I wrote on social media and I got some other people to sign up. Like I know Lauren, like, so I'm trying to post and be like, this isn't preachy, this is fun, this is a good night out. It's, So I agree that it's word of mouth and it's more, you're not going to go unless you know somebody that went and they enjoyed it or they got value out of it. So
How about going to different groups in the community? Like, I know we go to the senior center, but can we go to other, or, the newcomers club, or,
like the garden club or
kinder group, or,
Kinder
yeah, because I
group.
think people feel going to these kind of workshops might be, there's safety in numbers, and going with a friend, bring a friend with you and get a flower. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I do think that there's something daunting about walking into a mental health wellness kind of workshop, and something maybe as serious as suicide prevention, by yourself. And I think if we could encourage people to come in small groups or go to the small groups, I know when I first moved to this neighborhood in Pine Hill, we had a mom's group, and we hung out once a month, and sometimes, we would have people come in, sell us Tupperware or whatever, but it would be a lot more useful to have somebody come in and talk about it. An important thing is mental health wellness. So,
Yeah. And I was just thinking, that just got me to thinking, like, I'm part of the Southborough book club that has 150 members. Granted, not all 150 go, but maybe for one meeting, we could spend the first 30 minutes and have Sarah or Shannon or someone come talk about the programs at Youth and Family Services. So you get an audience and it's in a familiar, comfortable environment. Like, we could go to the book club with 100 people. You could go to there's like the garden club meetings or whatever. So if we pick a couple organizations across town and we try to get as big of a diverse selection or section of population of town, and just maybe do a little, I know it would take resources like Sarah or Shannon's or someone's time, but it might be worth going to them in their safe environment, in a place they're comfortable with people they know, and just talking a little bit, hey, this is what you're going to talk about. And I would be happy to join if you or Shannon went, and be like, I went, it was awesome. We talked about this. It wasn't, intimidating. So just give them a little bit of a taste, and it might help.
Do you mind if I revisit or go back to the idea of casting a wider advertising net and making it widely known that anybody from any community can come to these workshops? I think one of the other ways to build momentum is it's almost like the phenomenon where you go by a nightclub and there's a long line out the door of people waiting to get in. It builds excitement around it if there's a lot of attendance at things. Not that people can see who's in the workshop, but if you walk into a workshop and there's only 3 other people in the room, regardless of whether it's an awesome workshop or not, it's deflating, even for the people who really came to learn something. I'd love to cast a wider advertising net and allow anybody from any community to come. I'm wondering what you guys think about doing that. How do we go about doing that? Can we just make that decision? Or do we,
What about just trying it for 6 months and call it a pilot? And if anyone complains, we'll just say it's a pilot, we're testing it out. We part of it is we want to get a reputation as a very, very helpful organization statewide, or however wide we can do it. And then after 6 months or a year, if it looks like it's successful, we'll keep doing it. And if it isn't, we won't.
well, and this is where we can get into some kind of cooperation with other youth and family services councils in the Metro West area, where you do things collaborative. It maybe, because you're gonna need some kind of email list or something to go out and reach, because that's how Spark Kindness got to me. They got my name through some other mental health organization, and I started getting emails from them, and oh, that looks interesting. So somehow we have to get the contacts to market the potential workshops too. And I would say do it collaboratively, and you know what, they can market to our community too, you know. If they have a great workshop on something that we have, you know, we haven't had the resources or, you know, or whatever to focus on, it would be a great opportunity to go to Westborough or Northborough or whatever. But we can act as more of a consortium where, you know, we can widen the catchment area through our liaisons with our peer organizations. So
We are the only ones that I'm aware of that are offering workshops and trainings. I
Okay.
have approached the other youth and family service departments to see if we could. Maybe you remember I talked about this with regard to running groups. I haven't been able to have this take off, but if you all were on board with piloting open attendance to our workshops for 6 months, I could also then, maybe the other YFS departments don't have something comparable for us to invite Southborough residents to, but at the very least, maybe we could be collaborative in the sense that they could share and market the opportunity to their residents, even if they don't have something
yeah,
similar to
well,
offer.
it's beneficial to the community at large.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Marguerite's right. We shouldn't narrow our focus just on our town, even though,
Mhm.
you know, your salaries are paid. It will have a wave-like benefit throughout the community.
The other thing I have to seriously consider, and this, you know, hopefully would go in a positive direction and not be to the detriment of anybody, but you know, given we certainly don't want to be competing with the other YFS departments by making their services obsolete in any way, and hopefully it would actually bolster any resources that they're seeking if we're able to offer something that they aren't able to. But that's just an added consideration that I want to mention, that
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
some
it
of
would
the other
supplement, I
other-
think it would supplement what's available in any other community.
right, some of the other YFS departments are, you know, we're really fortunate that we have the resources we do, and some of the others are really struggling to stay afloat, and I really want to be mindful of not so I guess what I would do is just have some conversation with them to say this is what we'd like to offer, and you know, you advertise it to however you'd like to, and that it's an open invitation.
So I guess what I would say is if another town like Hopkinton said, we have um, phobia workshops that we're offering.
Mhm,
Are you interested in advertising them?
mhm.
Would you do it?
Yeah.
So I think if we say we have suicide workshops, would you be
Mhm.
interested in advertising them?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
just
the general rule of everybody is that we advertise to our own communities.
yeah.
There's no standard for us to follow on this. You know, that's why I was looking to the rec department. I was like, oh, okay, so the rec department offers all of these services, and for non-residents, it's a different fee, which is where that whole idea came from.
Yeah, but that's
Because
different because it's our playing fields and we have to pay maintenance on those and blah blah blah. But
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know. I just would try it for 6 months, Sarah,
Yeah,
and see what
I'm
happens.
totally fine with that. I can't, I didn't feel comfortable making the call on that. I don't know if
think,
others.
like, if you give them a heads up ahead of time and have it be their choice, and they advertise. I don't think you're stepping on any toes there.
Mhm, mhm.
I would say that the whole point of this discussion is to increase attendance at workshops. And if you use every resource to an outreach to bring in Southborough residents, and we're still seeing a challenge, and you raise the point of, hey, there's an effect of creating a buzz by having more attendance in these workshops, and people seeing the greater attendance that impacts others' desire to actually come. It would seem that it would be a useful strategy to try to get others to join. If you charge, you may limit the number of people who
Right.
would come through. But the sort of the corollary, the counter to that is you don't want to get to a point where the workshops exclude Southborough residents because there's too much attendance by others. That would actually be a good problem, but it would be a problem if Southborough residents couldn't attend workshops that were sort of developed in their own town. But
Or that Southborough residents weren't coming for whatever reason, and found you were exclusively
yeah, to other
presenting
towns, yeah.
to outside.
But if it's presented as a pilot, you could constantly evaluate it and say, are we meeting the objectives that we thought we were going to meet? Are the number of Southborough residents increasing? Is the
Mhm.
participation in general increasing? And are we serving? Is it meeting the need of the objective of the actual training? Where more people are being impacted by this training, and it's a greater good to the community at large.
As far as opening
places-
it up, I really am in favor of that, but I just have a logistical question because the 21 Highland, that room is very small. So are we thinking that if we open it up, we're going to need to go to a school, or we're going to need to go to a different meeting room? Because that third floor in the 21 Highland Ave has like 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be maxed out pretty quickly. So do we have to pay
Yeah.
do we have
Well,
to pay?
well, I guess that's the other challenge. No, we won't have to pay to use another building. We could use the safety complex, which has a really nice training room, and one of the other schools. The other thing that we'll have to consider is that at least with QPR, we are supposed to be limiting the number of participants because of the critical nature of what we're teaching. Listen with Love and Say It with Love are a different story. And I would want to have a conversation with Shannon on that. She certainly doesn't want to be providing these trainings to 100 people at once, because it really dilutes people's ability to engage in conversation and just what we were talking about, which is so important with regard to these trainings. But so it's maybe, again, that's part of the pilot, is seeing the other piece about 21 Highland Street is that room's not great for a number of reasons, not just because of its size. It also gets very, very cold in the winter. So it's one of the reasons we're planning to try some other spaces anyway.
And I find the TV screen very small. So,
Mhm.
so sometimes you're reading Sarah's or Shannon's slides, and it's a little.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any other comments about piloting open attendance at our workshops for 6 months. I would love a vote from the board on this, only because if there's any pushback on why is your department providing services to other communities, I'd love to be able to say that the board had in-depth conversation around it and voted to support that pilot.
Sure. I make a motion to vote that we pilot a program for 6 months to do open attendance at the workshops.
Second.
All right, Susan Byer,
Yes, I agree. Aye.
Karen Anglem,
Aye.
David Joyner,
Aye.
Nancy Sutton.
Aye.
Sarah Micas,
Aye.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
And Lauren Ritchie, aye. The motion carries.
Before we navigate away from that, I know when we met with Karen, there were some other ideas. I don't know if anybody, I mean, we can table that till next time. But some of the other ideas were like, if you come to the workshop, you get a raffle ticket. And if you bring a friend, you get a raffle ticket. You get a second raffle ticket. That would mean that we'd have to bring friends on board with helping us identify some raffle prizes. And these are just some examples of other things that we've considered.
Right. I did talk to the friends at last meeting and they weren't so sure incentives and if it really works.
Mhm.
So I know Shannon was supposed to do some research and seeing, I think we would need to bring to the friends a little bit of like, okay, other programs piloted this and it did increase attendance. I kind of told them this was our objective and we were thinking, like you just said, bring a friend, get a raffle ticket, do some kind of incentives to go. And they're like, they weren't so keen on if it would work or not. They're like, what about doing it at different times? I'm like, honestly, it's not the time of day. It's not, like you said, I mean, Shannon's offered them on Saturdays. They've offered, it's getting people to go because they don't know enough about it. So I think it's, but the friends did like the fact that we would maybe open them up to Northborough and different communities. They were in favor of that. I know that. So I don't think they're not in favor of giving any funds or money. They just want to see if throwing some money to do some incentives is going to be the right direction.
Mhm.
And I don't know.
Frankly, I think we struggled with that too, so.
And maybe we pilot that. Maybe we do one set of 3 workshops. Like, okay, the next 3 workshops, I mean, how much money could it really cost us to provide some incentives and see if that really, I mean, we don't have to say going forward, we always do it, but I mean, I don't think there's a way to know if that would work unless we try it. I don't know.
Just to give some additional context, one of the other workshops that Shannon is hoping to roll out involves teen participation. And if any of you know teens, you know that it's going to be particularly challenging to get them to come. This is a workshop based off of the book, How to Talk So Your Teens Will Listen and Listen So Your Teens Will Talk. It's really a workshop for parents on how to best support their teens, but it's a multi-prong approach in that most of the weeks are with parents. Some of the sessions are just with the teens, and then there's a few that are with everybody together. It's a really fantastic model if you can get them to come. And so, that's going to be the hardest part is maybe it's nothing that costs money. One of the other ideas we've had is to work with the school on incentivizing them by extra credit or, I don't know what, but that's going to be challenging, is partly why we've been really talking about this incentivization idea.
Susan, did you have a comment to make?
Well, no, I was just thinking that, if people are from other towns, I think that they probably would be more likely to go to Southborough because they might feel a lot more comfortable because they probably figure that nobody knows them in Southborough. They might be more willing to talk about their, problems. Go to a different town, you know what I'm saying? They probably wouldn't be, they probably figure that they wouldn't see anybody there that they know from their hometown.
Yeah, more anonymity.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. But I know that the health department does things with Northborough and Boylston and like the flu shots and the COVID shots and all that kind of stuff. The youth and family services do things with other towns. Just I think I think as Marguerite says, it's the object is you're helping people and it doesn't matter where they come from. So And then, maybe if they have any workshops, they can invite, the Southborough people.
Right. Yeah, I
If-
think that's where the challenge lies, is that we don't have it, there's nothing reciprocal, because our youth and family service department is actually one of the bigger, and we're the only ones that I'm aware of that are focused, that have somebody focused solely on prevention.
Yeah.
So, but maybe, I do think that our model has, we were just asked to present at the Massachusetts Municipal Association's Human Service Council meeting about the structure of our department, because I think that it's a goal for some of the other youth and family service departments. So,
Sarah, have you ever gone to like the fire or the police, or gone to other departments in town and given trainings?
yes, yes, we have, yeah.
So I just didn't know if we could leverage off any cross training. I don't know.
Thinking
We
about,
should give out free attendance at these to the, I'm being a little bit not serious, but at Heritage Day, spin the wheel and you win a free session on Listen with Love.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
but it's free anyway. You're like, but you won.
I think ultimately it's probably up to Shannon, because she's the one that gives the workshops. And, instead of having 3 people sitting there, if she's got 14 people sitting there, I'm sure she doesn't care where they come, what town they come. So,
Well, if we're talking about workshop under attendance, it seems like, what about doing like a bookmobile only workshops? Go to the senior center and do one. Go to the Rotary Club and do one. Go to the
Yeah.
library where the staff are and do one. Just take it there,
Yeah.
Would that work?
We're doing a little bit of that too, which is I think what Karen's question was. Are we doing, so we have, Shannon's done some trainings for fire and EMS, she's doing some for the senior center. We're going to the schools to do some. So we are trying to do specific groups by going to them. It's really how to reach residents.
But what about if we did I'd be happy to do like the book club idea, or you guys, everyone has their own network, like a ladies' night out. You could have it in someone's house. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
actually,
read a book about suicide and then have a discussion about it and a prevention workshop.
right.
About it.
Shannon had actually posed this idea. She used to work for the town of Fitchburg, which is quite a bit bigger than Southborough. And she said they used to do something called home health parties, where kind of like a Tupperware party, but you would go and have a talk about something, and whoever was hosting would invite all of their friends, and then it was for that specific group of people, which really, increases people's comfort level and provides a social opportunity on top of that. So again, we're running up against the issue of our own bandwidth to be able to do some of this stuff, and also comfort level. The
But also,
pandemic. Oh, go ahead.
Sarah, permission to speak freely. That training room is kind of dreary.
I agree.
And it's not a place where you'd feel nourished.
It's not where I live, so you don't offend me.
Yes, okay. So it's not a place where you go and you'd feel nourished. You'd feel kind of like, oh, is this place haunted really still? It's got a lot of Victorian vibes, So I like the idea of taking it to people's homes.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would open up a lot of other opportunities. And I think there are some homegrown community groups that would welcome this, especially if you're parents of teenagers and everybody's sitting around, my kid's stressed out or depressed or whatever, while you are drinking your glass of wine, having your cheese, you could hear about how
Eagle Scouts, Cub Scouts, who knows?
Yeah.
if we're looking for different ages of parents, we could go to the different SOS groups.
Right. Think about like all the parents that are doing college admissions and like,
Mhm.
you know, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely have a bunch of different groups that would benefit from it.
I wonder if if truly the setting at the library, the setting at the old high school, is deterrent. The South Street building.
I would kind of go there a little bit because I think it is a little dreary and kind a little the way I would, the new safety room.
Training room,
Is really nice. It's very inviting. I wouldn't say it'd give you warm and fuzzies, but it doesn't make you feel like the ghost of, the butler's gonna come out of the wall.
Mm,
I still think, I mean, I agree, but I still think it's going in groups and, getting collective groups to go because it's going to be more of a comfort level and a more of, you're not doing this alone. Like even just with the couple I went to, just grabbing a couple friends and saying, hey, we're doing this. And it just worked out better than,
Yeah.
someone wouldn't have, she's like, I wouldn't have gone if you guys didn't go. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
if I didn't text her and say, come on, let's meet, I think that's just human nature.
It sounds like a multi-prong approach, and with your blessing, we're gonna try this pilot for 6 months. I might propose we wait until January to start that, and we'll be sure to collect the same data so we can compare one approach to another. And I will encourage Shannon to watch our meeting to hear these ideas, and I'll also relay those to her too. I would appreciate if you continue to come up with new ideas, like new, really inventive, creative ways to get teens to go to things or help parents get their teens to go to things. That's what's on the horizon for us, and we'd really love to see it be successful.
I wonder if you could get community service credits for going to workshops.
Maybe. I mean, that's honestly what that would cost us no money. We'd have to get the school to, buy into that, but I think that would be nice.
Yeah, or maybe health, extra credit in health.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a really productive discussion, I think. So that's great. Mental Health Awareness Month plans that's coming up in May.
Yes, I no longer have a functioning computer, so I can't see. But I do want to say that we are planning to do for anybody who's been on the board or been involved for a while. You may remember that for 2 years in a row, anyway, we did something called Celebrate Wellness at the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. The pandemic disrupted our ability to do that for several years. We are finally planning to do that again this year. So that's going to take place on May 31st of 2023 at the Community House. It's a lovely event. It's very positive and uplifting. We're working on what we often do, which is a community art gallery. Typically, we wait for Mental Health America to declare what their theme is for the year, but this year we've decided that we're going to go ahead with our own theme, which is Leave the Light On, and hoping to incorporate lights or light in a lot of the theme throughout the month. For example, we're trying to work with facilities on how we can get green lights around town, as green is the color for Mental Health Awareness Month. We're also working on trying to bring a luminary event to town where everybody across town has the opportunity to light luminary candles. The other thing that we've started doing this last year was Southborough Goes Green. So again, green is the color for Mental Health Awareness Month. So the first Friday of the month, all across town and in the schools, we are encouraging residents to wear green. So that's a work in progress. We typically do a partnership with the library where we do a community read. So there's an encouragement across the community to, we pick a book and then we have everybody read it and then we come together for a discussion about the book. And then we do something for the younger age kids where we go in and read a book about feelings and have an activity afterwards. So we're in the preliminary stages of talking about Mental Health Awareness Month and wanted to bring those ideas to the board, but also invite you guys to share ideas that you might have that you think might be helpful or in line with that theme or out of the box. And maybe, you know, I'm just planting that information now and we can revisit it again next time. Because I'm putting you on the spot, but
I love the theme.
thank you. I do too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the party is always great at the community house. That's really fun.
Mhm.
It's very upbeat.
Yes. Yep.
It'd be
And
kind
we'll
of
do
cool
that-
to have like a green light that's, if we could have it never go out for like a month straight or whatever, you know, so it's like always in town, it's
leave the light on.
leave the light on, so like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like, yeah, I love the idea of lights all over town, but if it's never goes out for a certain period, would be cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sarah, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No,
No.
other Sarah.
We could
I
build
wasn't hearing
a
anything.
beacon of hope somewhere.
Ooh.
Maybe the Girl Scouts can make that.
Okay. Well, we've got plenty of time. We're having sort of bi-weekly planning meetings. So I can plan to bring this up again at our December meeting if you want to think about it. You know, do some scavenging to see what you find, other fun ideas that have been happening other places. You know, but I also love the theme too, because struggling with mental health can be a really dark place. And so I love the idea of us as a community leaving the light on for somebody when, you know, they're in that space. So that's kind of what we envision in terms of what our hope is for the message for the month. And just, you know, also celebrating all the ways that people are doing well too.
Yeah, it's
I
very
wonder if there's any-
comforting, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if there's any way to get any of the local businesses involved, like they give out green bags or like you know, something just to bring our community and our local businesses in, and everyone supports it. It's not just, you know, you could see it everywhere instead of just in, I don't know, one part of town.
You know, it's weird how town government is so interested in the financial health of the town, but nobody pays attention to the emotional health of the town. You know, it's sort of interesting. Nobody really says, well, do you have a happy town? People should look at that.
Well, if you have a happy town, you're probably going to have a more financially viable town too, and productive.
Or at least a mutually supportive town. Do you know what I mean?
All right, well, so we'll revisit that in December then.
Sounds good.
Karen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you might be our only Friends representative here. Was there anything that,
That's fine.
what's
Yeah,
up?
so, you know, we talked about the ideas of incentives. I already mentioned that, but I don't really have to belabor that, but we have an event. I don't know if you guys all are aware, but Saturday there's an event at the community house. It's with Chelsea. She's doing a mini photo shoot. It's called the Holiday Shop or whatever. And there's like 20 vendors there. And the Friends is going to be doing a raffle. So I think we have at least 10 people that have donated to the raffle. So we'll be selling raffle tickets and we'll be raising money for, and so that's 9 to 3 on Saturday at the community house. And then we're also working on our next fundraiser is in March. We're trying to do like a restaurant week kind of thing where we're picking a bunch of different restaurants. We're trying to aim for the same night so like every Thursday in March, you could go to like the first Thursday, go to Ola, the second Thursday, go to Tommaso or whatever. And 20, actually, we asked for 20, but most of the restaurants are saying 10 because the economy and everything. But so 10% of the bill will get donated to Youth and Family Services or Friends of Youth, whatever. So that's our, so this community then event, and then the March will be the restaurant. And then in May, we're going to be doing the Mother's Day shopping event again at the community house for Saturday, the day before Mother's Day.
Right,
Busy,
day
busy.
before Mother's Day.
For all the last minute dads that need to shop for the moms on Saturday.
Perfect. Any other discussion? May I have a motion for adjournment then?
So moved.
Second? Anyone?
I'll second.
Okay. So roll call vote for adjournment. Susan Byer,
Yes, I.
Karen Ingram, David Joyner,
Aye.
Nancy Sutton.
Aye.
Sarah Micas,
Hi.
Marguerite Landry,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie, aye.
Thanks,
Thanks, and we will
everybody.
see you in
Okay.
December.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
Lauren, for being a
Thanksgiving.
good chair
Bye.
as usual.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.